Guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis, and today I'm going to give you a little bit of advice about long range FPV and how you can kind of upgrade your radio to something that will be more reliable and have a lot more power than your built-in module. Now, this is the radio called the C-ONE. This is a beginner transmitter. It has two 18650s that are inside here, and it has a light module bay on the back, which is also known as a nano bay. And this one can handle ELRS expansion or a Crossfire module, which is the light version of Crossfire. Either or, ELRS or Crossfire. Now, not to be too confusing, we're going to talk about something that's compatible with this radio, made by the same manufacturer, HGLRC. This is the T-ONE transmitter, and this one can plug right into the back of the C-ONE radio, which is, again, a beginner-friendly radio. But what this will allow you to do for this combination is fly up to 2-watt transmitter power, which is going to get you way out there. So about 6 hours of runtime on this radio with two 18650s in combination with 2-watt, it's going to probably get you half that flight time, but about 5 times the power using this type of combo. So this is pretty cool. This module is about $45 if you want to expand your C-ONE. It's also compatible with other radios like the Boxer, the Jumper T-15 that just came out, Free Sky radios, and it does come with a converter from the Nano Bay also over to full-size JR module bays, which some of you guys are familiar with. So it's $45. Let's see what they have to offer. Let's open up the box. Let me show you what's inside it and how it kind of functions with the standalone screen. So pretty cool. Let's check it out on the bench. Okay, so there is the TX module box you'll get in the mail if you order it on the website, on HGLRC's website. It looks like $45.99, and again, it's running ELRS at 915 up to 2-watt. It really depends on the radio that you have to be able to run 2-watt. I did test it on our C-ONE radio, and unfortunately, every time I put it up to 2-watt max from this little module, it resets the C-ONE module bay. So it'll restart the TX module. So apparently the C-ONE can't handle that. So don't try to do that. But looking back at the website, it can run 100 milliwatt. So if you turn down the power, you can run 100. I'll also test on the C-ONE. I think I should be able to at least run up to about 500 milliwatt. It'll also do 1000 and 2000, which is 2-watt. So in the United States, the max power we're supposed to be able to run, if you didn't know it, with a ham radio license is 1 watt. So 1000 milliwatt there for that. It also does refresh rate of 25, 50, 100, and 200 hertz, and XT30 external power support voltage for something like a 2S to 6S battery, which a lot of times I'll put a little XT30, just kind of Velcro one somewhere on the back of the radio, but there's not a lot of room, honestly, on this type of radio. On a Boxer, you have the back of the battery bay, which is a great place to put a piece of Velcro for your external module battery. So that works out great. It does have an adapter in the box, and I want to show you that. Just take this off real quick. You can see our stickers here, QR code for support, and the JR module bay. If you're running something like, say you have a Boxer 4-in-1, you want to have ELRS on there, you're just going to plug this into the back of the module. And this is the module itself. It is an all plastic case. Just kind of hoping that would be a metal one, very similar to something like the Ranger series. And our antenna here for 915 screws on like that, very similar to the TBS Crossfire Model T. You can see there's like a little HGLRC logo right up there, a little dinosaur. And this will essentially plug into the back of the module. There is a little harness right here, which this has pins for. There are 4 pins on this JSD connector, plugs into the side there, and it can mount. There should be an exit hole for this cable around the side, on that side, and it will plug in like this to the back of the module, and that converts it over to the larger size. Now, if you're using something like the C-ONE, you can put this to the side, save it for later when you get a bigger radio. But if you're just starting out with something like the C-ONE radio, you take this off, and this fits right on the back of this radio. So this is kind of like a beginner's introduction to ELRS. And I like that it comes with an updated version of ELRS, so you don't have to kind of go out and update this first before you use it, because it is at this point, at the making of this video, it's a pretty new product. So be very careful when you put it on the back of whatever micro nano bay you're putting it on, and just gently press down. You should hear it snap in place. Should be in the tracks. Try not to turn it on when you're putting it on. And that should be good. It looks like it's seated. You can see your XT30 down here, and over here is your USB-C port for firmware updates. You can also do Wi-Fi updates on this. We have our joystick here for making selections. It has the same type of screen here with all the same settings that you would normally access inside your Edge TX menus, which is kind of cool. So we're going to press this button right here, and if we have it plugged in correctly, we'll see it light up. Now again, you do have options for the larger JR module bay, which will plug into the back of the Boxer, and radio types like this that have the larger slot. This is the nano converter for something like the C1 or the pocket radios. I do have to take 4 bolts out. Once you take those 4 bolts out of here, you'll see the internal side of the module, and you'll see a little JST harness right here. So go ahead and plug in your full-size JR wire on this harness here, not the one on the outside. And then go ahead, without pitching the cable, put it on top, and you'll see that it fits across the XT60 and the USB-C down on the bottom. Now go ahead and take your 4 bolts and put those in. And while I have you here, you also need to know that the 2-watt power running on the C1, it's too much for the C1 radio, the smaller radio here on the left. So what happens is when you turn this all the way up to 2 watt, you want to be careful because it will reset over and over, and then you'll have to go back inside the system menu as quickly as you can to turn the power down before this module resets itself over and over. So this radio, it doesn't seem that it can handle 2 watt power. I will try out 1 watt. I'll let you know if it runs on 1 watt. So if you have this radio and you just want to upgrade to ELRS, a little more power than what the C1 does, I'll try to let you know right here in the community tab on the channel. So I have these 4 bolts now installed, and I have it plugged in on the inside of the module. The cable's not pinching. And now we can go ahead and plug it into the Radio Master Boxer, and I will show you the interface on the T-ONE. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a 4S 750, and I'm going to plug it into the bottom just to give myself a little external power outside the Boxer's power. And it's already set to CRSF. You'll see this come on automatically. Now you can go ahead and turn on your radio, and now you have extra power besides your onboard power. So if you're running it at full 2 watt on something like a Boxer, this will just give you a little more time with your radio. And what you can do is take a little piece of Velcro, put on the back of this battery and down here on the battery bay itself. And that's what I usually do for carrying around an extra battery for extra power. So from the back of the T-ONE, you can do quite a bit of things in here. It's very much the same type of information that's inside the radio and the Express ELRS menus if you go to System, but otherwise you can do it here on this module with the control joystick. So let's long press here, and before we do that, it does say that we're on ELRS 3.2, which is great. We're running 132 there at 1000 milliwatt, which is awesome. I do have TLM on there, so it's outputting some, it's communicating telemetry. Long press, it'll take us into these menus, and you've seen these type of menus before on some of the Radio Master Rangers and the other modules that I've reviewed. It looks absolutely the same. Switch mode here. This, if we do that, it'll let us switch between hybrid and wide. And sometimes if you have a receiver that's not binding up, if you just simply switch between hybrid and wide right here in this menu, it'll say telemetry found, and then you'll be bound. So it's very, very interesting that, depending on what type of receiver you have, it could be wide or it could be hybrid. So again, if we go back to the left there and switch back to the main menu, now I can go to TX power. We can go to telemetry ratio, BLE gamepad if you want, bind mode, which will automatically put this in bind mode. We have Wi-Fi administrator, we have VTX administrator, we have the packet rate. So that puts us through all the different menus there. So to get into bind mode from the module, just press that. It says press to send bind request. Press it again. Now it's in bind mode. Pretty easy. Now we can go to BLE gamepad, and that makes it bind up to your simulator. Now telemetry ratio, we're going to leave that set to the way it is. And TX power, we can press here for max. You can change it to 500. It'll go all the way down to around 250. So if you press up or down, it'll change from max power at 2 watt. Let's go down 100 at the minimum, which is cool. That's for park flying and things. Like close in, 500 milliwatt seems to be about the average for most people. So it'll do 250, 500, 1000, and 2000 watt for the max. And let's just see if the Boxer can handle 2 watt with this battery plugged in. So we're going to press to confirm. And now we're going to press left to get back out. And I do see that it's not currently running 2000. It's on 100 milliwatts. So maybe it's set to dynamic. You can also set it to dynamic, which allows you to have it change depending on how far away your receiver is. But right now we don't have a receiver plugged in. So we're going to go back to TX power there. Scroll to the right. Now, if you're going back to the main menu and you see that your power input's not changing and you want it to go to full power, you have to turn off dynamic power. This module had dynamic power set to on. So if you go here, you can change it from on to off. And once I turn it off, that will give me full power. If I set it to 2 watt, it's going to output that full power max. So right now I have a 4S750 plugged in, and once we go back to the main menu, it should show us that we're off of dynamic power. It was running 100 milliwatt on dynamic because, well, when your receiver is close by, it will show you that it's running the minimum amount to connect to your receiver. So as you go further away, it'll increase the power. But once I turned off dynamic power, you can see that I'm fully utilizing 2 watt right there. So I did hear that the fan kicked on, and it is running that with this external battery down here. So you may have to run an external battery just to get full power to work out on this T-ONE module, but we'll have to see as we do more testing with it. Now, what I would recommend is going ahead and run something like, you could do 500 if you're not really needing to go that far. Going back in here again, this is the way you do it. We want to turn off dynamic power, and let's just go back to the power setting here. If we scroll to the right here, and then we go up and down, we can change this. So I'll put it at 500 milliwatt max power there. And if you let it sit for a few moments, it'll go back to the main screen. And then we should see that it has 500 milliwatt running. And we should hear the fan turn off. So the fan just turned off, and now we should be running a max of 500 milliwatt. And once we're back to the screen, you can see it is running full max at 500 milliwatt. Okay, so I want to do a test in this review just to see how much power we can get this C1 radio to be able to handle on this module. I know that the Radio Master Boxer will do up to 2 watt, but let's see what the C1 can handle here. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the module itself, and we will just, see what we can get. So let's go ahead into the power here. Right now we're running 500. Let's just go up to maybe we'll try 1000 to start. Okay, and I am using this external battery here. So right now you can hear the fan did kick on. But if we wait here, we go back to the main menu. If you don't press the joystick for a few minutes, or maybe say 30 seconds, it should return to the main menu. And then you'll be able to see if you're handling full 1000 milliwatts. So I am up to 1 watt right there. So it does confirm that the C1 can run 1 watt. Let's see with the external battery. So otherwise it would reset when I didn't use the external battery. So now let's see if it can handle more power. So we're going to go back into the menu here for TX power and press to the right. Now press down to 2 watt here, and we're going to press to confirm. Now we're running max power on a C1 radio at 2 watts. So if we just hang out for a second, it'll go back to the main menu, and it really hasn't been tested to see how long or what type of external battery you need for this module to run 2 watt on a C1 radio. So, and the same thing with a Boxer. We haven't tested the total amount of time running 2 watt, but it does appear that we are running 2 watt on a C1 radio now. So that's the way that you can do that on this particular radio. And that's pretty awesome for such a cheap radio for max power. And again, if you don't want to run full power here, if you don't want to run max 2 watt, obviously most people don't do that. You can change it to dynamic. So there is a way to do that. Pressing down, we're going to select dynamic. We're going to change it from off to on. Select to confirm, and now we're running dynamic. So when you go back to the main screen, you'll see that it's probably running around 100 milliwatt to start. And the further you fly away, dynamic power will give you more power as you need it. And so now you see when we're running dynamic that it went back to 100 milliwatt. So those are some new options for ELRS users out there. If you want to run it on a smaller game style controller, you can. If you want to run it on the larger JR module bays, like on the Boxer and TX16S, you have that option too. For around $45, not too bad. It is a little smaller profile than something as large as my TBS Crossfire with the diamond antenna. But I think it works out pretty good. We'll see how it tests out and if it does power off on us. You will want to use that external battery if you're using it on the C1 radio. So just some information for the FPV community. I hope that that helps you. If it does, please do like and subscribe on the channel. And I will definitely bring you more information on the RC hobby and FPV drones coming up very soon on the channel. So stay tuned and take care, guys. Fly safe, and I will see you on the next one.